What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of HBCU Huddle, the first one of the new year. I am CJ. Follow me on the Instagram at new_Conradicalness. You can follow Mike Wallace at my Mike Check on Twitter. Mike, what's going on, baby?
Hey, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone that follows the HBCU Huddle, man. It's 2025. Now we've been doing this over the course of 4 years now, and man, it feels good. It feels good to be back, starting off the year strong. And CJ, you got to bring me some warmth, man. It's this cold weather, man. We are tropical people.
Why,
you know what I'm saying?
Why do I got to bring the warmth?
You control all things, man. You control all things, from what I understand. So
it's colder than a penguin toenail outside, boy.
Yeah, we got to get past that.
This is real chilling. We got snow coming in on Friday. Yeah. Anywhere the inch count keeps going up.
Yeah. Well, it's already hit the East Coast. So those who follow us on the East Coast, they've already seen the snow.
So it's moving east.
It's
to
moving
west.
East to west. Okay. It seems like, man, and it's swooping down. So we're gonna catch it. We're gonna definitely catch it. It's coming our way this weekend, and it's already been out east, man. But a lot to get to, man. It's been a long time. We had 3 weeks off, 2 weeks off. Over the holiday break, and we're back at it, man. 2025 is right here for us.
Absolutely. We got a lot to get to today. We'll talk some about the new coaching hires. That will be this week's Pick 6. I will go through and give you my favorite hires of the hiring season so far. Yes. We'll talk about that. Mississippi Valley State's band is in a bit of a pickle, conundrum. For some people to try and figure out whether or not they should be performing at Donald Trump's inauguration. We're going to talk about that as well. We'll get into so much more also. But let's start, Mike, with the former NFL stars making their coaching debuts, getting introduced as the head coaches at various HBCU programs. Before we took that 2-week hiatus, Mike Vick was announced as the head coach at Norfolk State. Mike Vick, if you don't know him, star at Virginia Tech, was a Heisman Trophy finalist, star for the Atlanta Falcons, star for the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Mike Vick broke the bank twice with 2 different teams at the quarterback position. I think that Lamar Jackson just broke his rushing record in an individual season by a quarterback. Mike Vick was the holder of the rushing record for a quarterback individual season. He's going to Norfolk State. That is where he's basically from, Mike.
Yeah, from that Tidewater area. Yep, absolutely.
And
man.
So that's Mike Vick. Desean Jackson is decided during the break to take the job up at Delaware State. So we hadn't had a chance to talk about Desean just yet. Desean Jackson, speaking Mike Vick, Desean Jackson, both Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of those yards that Mike Vick threw for Desean Jackson was on the other side receiving those passes. Mike, when you see Mike Vick, Desean Jackson, former NFL stars, like superstars for their teams, when you see them decide they're going to start their coaching careers at HBCUs, what goes through your mind?
Well, and then you also, we haven't shown it yet, but Sam Shade, you know what I mean, going to Alabama A&M. He was already at Miles, but, he's another guy that
had a long NFL
career. So you're seeing the trend. You're seeing it matter. You're seeing what I love about it is that these guys don't just look at these opportunities as, hey, I'm not qualified, I'm just going to go take the job and make it a brand statement. They're like, man, I'm excited to help these programs. I'm excited to get to recruiting. I'm excited to uplift these HBCUs and put them on that national schedule again. And, Mike Vick, man, it was just to see him in that Norfolk State green. Like I've always felt, and that was, remember, a couple weeks ago, I said Norfolk State was probably, my number one job available because of everything that program has going for it and potentially going for it in the region, the location. I think Mike is going to be special there. I hope Desean Jackson can get the resources he needs because Kyra State is hurting right now. Right? Kyra State, Delaware State.
The Fighting Kyras.
Yeah, the Fighting Kyras. And, Kyra Black, our show producer and director here, is a Delaware State alum. But they have to get some resources because even when you look at the background of the photos that Desean is in, it looks like a high school. In a lot of ways athletically, and they have to really step up and give him a chance to really compete. But he wants the job. He's already won at a high school level, at a championship level, and 2 big-time names, 2 big-time personalities should do a great job there. Well, and they'll play each other. That's the thing.
Yeah,
they're facing each other. Yeah.
We got NFL coaches in the HBCU ranks right now. It's nothing new to see former NFL players coach at the HBCU
Yeah,
level.
we've seen
right?
it.
Like
we've seen
that
it
happens.
for years. Yeah.
You brought up Shade, and I think it's an interesting conversation to be had. Right, like I understand he had a long NFL career. He wasn't the same type of a star as Vick and
or
Desean.
Yeah,
and you throw Eddie George in there and Deion Sanders,
yeah.
right? Like it feels like there's a shift to that type of player now wanting to go and for the
and even
reason,
Ed Reed, who didn't get the job,
Reed,
but who had it and then let it go. But a quality of like Hall of Fame type guys.
Yes. Where they've been all pros or they've been Pro Bowlers at the very least in the case of George and Sanders, and even though he didn't get it at Reed or didn't keep it at Reed, legitimate Hall of Famers, that they are the ones coming back now. I think that trend is an interesting trend. Again, we've seen football players, former NFL players come back to the HBCU ranks and coach. Why do you think, though, those types, the former stars, are coming back to HBCUs to coach right now, Mike?
Because I think they see it as, and I will say this, they see it as the easiest path to get to a head coaching job, right?
Yeah.
Like the Sam Shades. Chris Dishman is a guy as well with Tennessee State, Texas Southern.
The Houston Oilers got like 4 or 5 dudes coaching in the SWAC right now, right? Dishman, Eddie Robinson Jr. is coaching there in the SWAC as well.
But they're not to the level of the stars that you're saying.
Right.
See, like Deion went from not coaching college at all to a head coaching job, right? Same thing Desean is doing. Mike Vick the same way. So when you're a superstar, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt to say, hey, all right, I see why these guys, I see why a school would want to hire them because it brings them instant recognition. Whereas a guy that was kind of, had a 12-year NFL career that really wasn't, a breakout superstar, that doesn't bring you the name recognition as much. It is a shortcut. And I sincerely hope that these guys know how to put a program together. I don't know if Mike Vick knows how to put a program together. I know he's going to be a dynamic personality as the head coach. I didn't know if Deion Sanders could put a program together. But he learned on the fly, and you see him now, he's done it twice now, Jackson State and Colorado. So Eddie George, he even admitted he had to learn on the job, right? He was in the business world. But now I have no doubt that Eddie George can go coach anywhere and everywhere he wants. As a matter of fact, if Ohio State ever opens up, Eddie George's name should be in the running for that. When you factor in where he is, what he's done, and what he's meant to the program. So, again, that's the reason why I think these high-profile guys are getting the head coaches, because I think HBCUs are willing to open the doors and give them their first crack at it.
Let's hear from Michael Vick about some of the coaches he talked to before he made his decision to take the job at Norfolk State.
Yeah, well, certainly all the coaches that coached me, they all reached out and was like, man, you're going to do great. This is going to be amazing for you. We look forward to watching you and watching your development as a coach, and don't hesitate to reach out. So, that came from Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin. The first person I reached out to was Deion Sanders because he's a mentor. We talked about it last year, and Deion was like, I don't know what you're waiting for. You might as well go ahead and get into it. And so he was one of the first people that I called. A lot of people ask, are you going to be the next Deion Sanders? And I'm quick to tell them, no, it's only one Deion Sanders. His soul, his spirit, the way God created him, he created an amazing man. And Deion is Deion, but I'm Michael Vick, the speaking third person. And so those guys will always be there to bounce ideas off of. Tommy Riemann, who's been around for a long time, know the area. He assisted me with a lot of invaluable information at the right times. And so, and then a lot of coaches across the league, college football, who I have a great admiration for, Jim Moore. Those guys are going to be there for me if I ever get into a sticky spot. I can't figure some things out. And then I have the right people around me to assist me as well. And it won't take long to get the hang of it. Before long, I'll be enjoying this and hopefully, trying to celebrate the championship. That's what this is all about.
That was Mike Vick at the press conference.
I believe that was credit to Norfolk State.
Norfolk State
Athletic Department.
Yes.
Yep. On the video.
I want people to understand this. It's great when they come through.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so much excitement. There's going to be a lot of energy. Hopefully, there'll be a ton of success for all of these programs. But you brought it up with Eddie George, and my heart sank a little bit in my stomach. The thought of Eddie George leaving Tennessee State. But that's the name of the game in the coaching game is, all right, I've got this opportunity. Can I get to a better opportunity? So be grateful and appreciative that they're there, especially if they're successful.
Yeah.
But know that you saw Coach Prime do it at Jackson State, right? Know that if they are really successful, Mike Vick, we'll just use them as an example. Mike Vick is successful at Norfolk State, and Virginia Tech still struggles. Like, they're going to come calling, and it's very likely that Mike Vick will answer that call. Like, that's the name of the game in the coaching industry, and that's not an indictment on any of these programs. It's just you gotta recognize that, hey, there are better opportunities out there should these men want to go out there and get those.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, I don't think that they should be, held to a different standard of wanting to progress in their careers, right? I mean, you just look at it for what it is, and you gave a great point. Virginia Tech hasn't overwhelmed in a long time, right?
They hadn't been adequate since Beamer left.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If Mike Vick puts 2 years of, like, if he gets Norfolk State to the Celebration Bowl in the first 2-3 years, then he should. And Virginia Tech comes open and he wants to do it at the highest level, then definitely go for it. Absolutely go for it. And then Norfolk State will be an opportunity for the next person to come in and really do something special. So, it's and that's the other thing too. To the other spectrum, we couldn't expect a Ed Reed or a Desean Jackson to go to a Bethune-Cookman or a Delaware State and become a miracle worker either. Because just by hiring the guy doesn't mean that you're going to invest in the program. Like, you hired the name, now you have to give them the tools to be successful. So, again, I don't want it's great that Delaware State did what they did, but now they got to back it up and say, okay, how can we go out there and be competitive? And that's going to be the next step, because otherwise you also ruin a guy's reputation or ability to move on if he can't get it done at Norfolk, at Delaware State. Yeah. Or Bethune-Cookman for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take a quick break. Desean Jackson, his press conference happened earlier today. We record on Wednesdays. It happened about 25, 35 minutes ago, but he was introduced on Tuesday during Delaware State's basketball game. We'll hear from him on the other side of the break, and I'll give you my 6 of favorite hiring so far in the HBCU football season landscape. You're listening to HBCU Huddle right here on Grind City Media, built in the Built for Tough studio.
ESPN put out a list. Top 30 best pro wrestlers under 30 in the world today. Number 1, Dirty Dom. Number 2, MJF.
I think Dom is deserving to be number 1. I think he is probably, like I said, one of the greatest heels in the last 10, 15 years. Like you said, he can't talk on a microphone.
The fans love it because they feel like they're a part of the show.
And that's the best.
Without their booze, he's not the best heel.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Somebody who really has done what they were supposed to do, or maybe wasn't expected to do, is Jalen Wells, the Western Conference Rookie of the Month.
What you're seeing right now is him showing that, hey, no matter where I was going to go in the draft, I was going to be ready.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I want to throw a party just so I can be in control of the aux cord, just so I can force everybody to listen to the Wicked soundtrack. Both of these actresses in Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, I thought it showed how they have experience performing live and on screen, both of them.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Grizz Nation gets set for tip-off 1 hour before every Grizzlies home game with the warm-up show. Get the latest news, notes, and analysis live from courtside at FedEx Forum.
This team is doing everything that Taylor Jenkins and his coaching staff envisioned it could do.
Join me, Lang Whitaker, along with Michael Wallace, Jessica Benson, and other personalities from Grind City Media, Memphis, and around the NBA. 1 hour before every home game, live at Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Welcome back in, everybody. CJ Hurt, Mike Wallace. We just spent the first segment discussing the hirings of Mike Vick and Desean Jackson. Let's hear from Desean Jackson at the Delaware State basketball game the other night.
Coordination, we're going to take it, we're going to work hard, we're going to surprise a lot of people. Right now, I don't think nobody understands what they in the room for, you know what I'm saying? So stay with me, we're going to grind hard, we're going to work hard, we're going to turn this thing around. So I'm excited, I appreciate y'all. Come out on the floor. We're going to support basketball right now, but in the fall, y'all come to that football game. Love y'all.
That was Deshaun Watson, new Delaware State head coach. I found it real interesting. One of the things that ended up happening right after he got hired was, he's bringing dudes from Cali in. Mm-hmm. And that's wild to me that you can convince young men. But, hey, if you're a receiver, who better to coach you up than Desean Jackson, somebody who's done it recently in the NFL and still has a bunch of connections in the league. But you're going from one coast all the way over to the other coast to play football. If he can get that California to Delaware pipeline, that would be really, really intriguing from a talent standpoint. But Mike, to your point, Delaware State's got to support him.
No, you're absolutely right. That pipeline, it exists, right? Because here's the thing. There aren't HBCU options out west.
Yeah.
So I remember, being at Grambling, we had a lot of Cali guys.
Tuskegee the same way?
Yeah, they had to come from, Cali to come all the way down to the south to play, Division I HBCU football. And to go from the East Coast to the West is nothing. There's a lot of California guys that go to Howard, right? Yeah. And to have an opportunity to play, to have an opportunity to be in that. Delaware State's not too far from Philadelphia. So you're still in sort of the metro area.
And he was a star in Philly.
And he was a star in Philly. The key is, can I get guys to come? Number one, he's going to have a big transfer class coming in, first and foremost. Right. They have to be able to win in year one or year two. They have to be able to get guys there. And when guys get there, you almost have to say, listen, we're not where we need to be when you first look at our field and our facilities. It's not going to wow you. If you're a star football player in California, chances are your football stadium is better than what Delaware State has. And so he has a lot to overcome. But they needed to make that kind of hire because they needed a guy that can overcome some of their limitations and lacks right now. And I was just happy that he borrowed Kyra's jacket, right? You know what I'm saying? She let him use his jacket to go ahead and do that press conference. That Delaware State Letterman's jacket was nice, man. So
It is.
I'm sure Kyra
nice.
had one or two of those that she was able to let him use.
Absolutely. Let's go to the pick six. My favorite coaching hiring so far at the HBCU level. Coming in at number 6, we'll go Greg Ruffin at Shaw. That's 6. Deshaun Jackson at Delaware State comes in at number 5 from me, followed by Sam Shade at 4, Mike Vick at 3, Sean Gibbs returning to North Carolina A&T at 2, and Tremaine Jackson, number 1, going to Prairie View A&M. I got Deshaun at 5, Mike, for the reasons that you said, and it's hard for me to have a first-time head coach ahead of coaches who have done it before. Yeah. And everybody but Mike Vick has done it before. Mike Vick, I think, is a special case because of where Mike Vick is coaching right now, right? Yeah. You've got to be able to recruit your area at a high level and go out some nationally, but certainly start in your area. Region. And there's so much talent in that DMV area, and Mike Vick knows how to recruit that because Mike Vick comes from that right? I would believe he has a leg up on everybody in that area. And I'm not just talking about your Howards and your Hamptons or your Virginia Unions or your Virginia States. If I was a high school player, or if, let's say I'm the father of a child who's 16 years old, and Mike Vick comes knocking on my kid's door, and Virginia's there also, and so is Virginia Tech, I'm like, yo, you got to go where Vick is. You got to go to Norfolk State, right? Like, that's who I think Mike Vick can get players from. The Virginias, the Virginia Techs, the Marylands in that region. And that's huge for an FCS program to be able to walk in the door and do that. And we've seen with Deion Sanders.
Yes,
he did that at Jackson State.
And that was exactly where I was going to go with that, CJ, is that, you can get, especially, when you're recruiting against some of the, even the smaller Power Fives or the less prestigious Power Fives, you can get a guy to say, you know what, do I want to go be a quarterback at Virginia or do I want to go be a quarterback with Vick at Norfolk State? Let me give Norfolk, and that's the Shador way. If you can play anywhere. And if you can dominate anywhere. And I do think Mike Vick brings the same kind of cachet that Deion brings. I know he doesn't want to compare himself to Prime, but he played even more recently than Prime did.
Yeah.
And although I don't know a lot of 16-year-olds who would remember or know what Michael Vick looked like when he played, I don't think it's that far removed. Just like the same case with Penny Hardaway. When he goes into your living room, you may not have been around when he was in his prime, but you can understand because of the cultural phenomenon he was. Mike Vick was the best player in Madden when Madden was popping, right? And so I think he'll be fine. I like your pick 6. I do think if we can go through them real quick, I think
let's do that.
Coach Jackson is stepping in at Prairie View A&M, which is a SWAC Western Conference West Division contending team.
Yeah.
So he should have the resources there to step right in and put that team over the top if he can do it. Gibbs
hold on, let's stay on Jackson for just a moment. He played at Texas Southern as well, led Valdosta State to a 25-3 record the past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
In 2023, he got Valdosta State to the D2 quarterfinals. This year, he got them to the championship game. They ended up coming up short in the championship game. Back-to-back years, 2023 and 2024, of finishing in the top 10 in the national polls.
And that's a guy right there that can bring elite Division II guys transferring into Prairie View.
I feel like we just saw that happen, didn't we?
Yes. So it can definitely happen, and I think he's going to be able to win. And what you're referring to is what happened at South Carolina State, right?
Yeah, Chennis Berry from Benedict to South Carolina State. Yeah.
And Valdosta got it done at a national level from that standpoint.
And listen, man, recruiting is so very, very important. That's a Texas guy.
Yep.
That is somebody who understands not just Texas, but Louisiana as well.
Yes.
So being able to get in those rooms with those high school coaches and sit down with them and break bread and talk about players that they have that are worthwhile, and those coaches helping to steer players towards Prairie View A&M. I love that hire for Prairie View A&M, Mike.
No question about it, man. I think he's going to be successful there. Gibbs at North Carolina A&T, he can only go up. Like it can only get better at A&T because the program has dipped so low. I think they've had back-to-back 3-win or less seasons, and that's just not where that program was just a matter of a handful of years ago. So I think, whatever he can do to stabilize them and get them first back to 500 and then take another step gradually, they should be fine there. We talked about Vick, but go ahead.
I think Gibbs is this will be his 11th, maybe 12th year at A&T.
Coming back.
So I think he was a grad coach and then left and coached some
he was on
places.
their championship teams.
And then he came back in 2011. From 2011 to 2021, he was the running backs coach and he did some special teams work as well. And in that, we all remember what North Carolina A&T was in 2011, 2012, 13, 14, 15. Running back U was a nickname. He was responsible for a lot of the success that I don't want to say a lot of the success. The players got to go out there and do it, but he was the coach as the Tariq Cohen's are running wild on opposing defenses. He was at Fort Valley State, 22-9 record at Fort Valley State, back-to-back 8-win seasons, 2022, 2023. And I remember we talked about this way back then. That was the first time Valley had won 8 or more games in back-to-back seasons in the program's entire history. So this isn't like he's taken over for a D2 power in Fort Valley State. This was a program that was struggling, and he got them to be good in the SEAC. So,
and the fact that he's been there, he has that Bulldog pedigree, the Aggie pedigree, I should say, with North Carolina A&T there. We talked about Vick. Sam Shade, obviously paid his dues at Miles, did some big things there, and then moved up to Alabama A&M. When we talked about this job, CJ, I said there's a lot of political powers at play in Alabama. You've been in Tuskegee. You went to Tuskegee. You know how powerful that in-state board of regents, board of trustees are, especially at the HBCU levels at these schools. So they handpicked a guy that didn't have to move too far to have the same kind of impact.
He's in state.
Yeah.
He is of the state, playing at Alabama.
Yes.
He started coaching, speaking of people being connected to high school coaches in the state, he started coaching at the high school level in Alabama. I would assume he'd have Birmingham on lock.
Oh, he should.
I would assume he would have Birmingham on lock, which is huge as it pertains to getting players from Alabama State and the Tuskegees and the Mileses in that state. He's leaving Miles last 2 seasons. The Golden Bears were combined 17-6 with their first D2 playoff win. He led them to that also. They got their first win ever over an FCS opponent in 2023 when Miles knocked off Alabama State. Alabama State, by the way, has been running Alabama A&M.
Yeah.
So, Miles, think about this for a second. Since 2020, I'm pretty sure, so we'll go 2021, pretty sure Miles has more wins against Alabama State than Alabama A&M does. I'll double check that. But that's the type of stuff we're talking about here.
Yeah,
where Colonel Maynard could not figure out the Eddie Robinson Jr. piece of it all. And I think that absolutely contributed some to him being let go.
Yeah. And now he has a chance to take on a bigger program that's hungry to get over the top there too. So Alabama A&M and Prairie View are basically in the same situation, just in different divisions there. A team that should be much better, should have delivered a division title possibly, and it just couldn't get over the hump. We talked about Desean Jackson at Delaware State, and then Greg Ruffin at Shaw. I don't know much about him, and maybe you could share a little bit more about him, but that Shaw position is one where you're in that
they're close.
CIAA.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to go up against the Virginia States, the Virginia Unions, when you're in that division. So it's going to be pretty tough, but hey, if you get an opportunity, you take it.
You got to take it. I do believe this is his second time coming back to Shaw. I'd have to double check that.
Okay.
Shaw is close, and we saw in the CIAA this past season, we saw a couple of teams jump up and sneak
Johnson
up on
C.
you.
Smith,
and hell, Winston-Salem State as well. So like if you're close, you can get there. I think, and so I'm interested to see what he does over at Shaw. But you're right. It starts with you taking care of business against Virginia Union and Virginia State. You got to beat at least one of those schools at some point in time if you're in the CIAA. So those are my 6 most intriguing HBCU hirings so far. Let me know some of your hirings that you're most intrigued by, that you think will be, when we look back at this 3, 4, 5 years from now, it'll be a really, really good hire. Let me know in the comment section in the YouTube video, or hit me up on Twitter at Conradical and this mic at my mic check. We'll take one final break and then we'll come back and talk some about Mississippi Valley State's trip up to the presidential inauguration, their band's trip up to D.C. for Donald Trump's inauguration. We'll talk about that, share our thoughts on that, and more coming back on the other side of the break.
Somebody who really has done what they were supposed to do, or maybe wasn't expected to do, is Jalen Wells, the Western Conference Rookie of the Month.
What you're seeing right now is him showing that, hey, no matter where I was going to go in the draft, I was going to be ready.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
There was a tweet from NBA G League that Cam Spencer was, quote, unconscious. Cam Spencer had 51 points on 75% shooting. The Grizzlies front office ability to find talent late in the draft continues to be a massive, massive positive for this team.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
How about them Tigers?
How about the
Tigers? Go!
Beat Tulane in a game that nobody called. Nobody thought was going to happen. They were a 2-touchdown underdog, and they got the win.
Number 25 in the AP right now, number 24 in the coaches poll right now. So this is a Tigers football team that's going to end the regular season ranked in both major polls, possibly ranked in the CFP as well, with 10 wins. That's a damn good season.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Grizz Nation gets set for tip-off 1 hour before every Grizzlies home game with the warm-up show. Get the latest news, notes, and analysis live from courtside at FedEx Forum.
This team is doing everything that Taylor Jenkins and his coaching staff envisioned it could do.
Join me, Lang Whitaker, along with Michael Wallace, Jessica Benson, and other personalities from Grind City Media, Memphis, and around the NBA. 1 hour before every home game, live at Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Here we go. Welcome back. CJ Hurt, Mike Wallace, HBCU Huddle, built for Tough Studios, Grind City Media. Should HBCU bands, I got to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Should HBCU bands, Mike, perform at Donald Trump's inauguration? That's the question that a lot of people are asking, and the conversation that a lot of HBCU alums are having after Mississippi Valley State had accepted an opportunity to perform at Donald Trump's inauguration, and then they started a GoFundMe for the trip, something to pay for food, travel, and lodging. They were asking for $350,000, and as of like 45 minutes ago on a Wednesday, so about 11 on a Wednesday, $277,933 has been raised. They're well on their way to that $300K goal. That's about 93% of the money that they need to get up there. Mike, what say you? Do you have any sort of an issue with the mean green of Mississippi Valley State going up and performing at Donald Trump's inauguration?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. And I understand why this is controversial. I understand why people are on opposite sides and two different sides of this, but it's all about perspective, right? Like, I didn't necessarily agree with the president's response to why they're doing it, more so than, to me,
Dr. Briggs.
Yeah, Dr. Briggs.
Okay.
And we had him here.
Yeah.
And
great.
He's a great guy, man. And
he said this is not just a moment of pride for Mississippi Valley State, but it's a moment of pride for the entire state of Mississippi.
Yes. So that's not the reason why I support Valley going up there.
Yeah.
The reason why I support Valley going up there is because you've been invited to the inauguration of the presidency of the United States of America. Just like when athletic teams get invited to the White House, the invitation is to go to the highest place in our national landscape, in our most powerful home in our government, in our history. I understand that there's a divisiveness with Donald Trump. I understand that. I understand that going to perform in the inauguration can easily be dismissed as going to support Donald Trump, right? It can be seen as viewing that. It can be viewed as that. I don't see it that way. I have a lot of respect for this country. I have a lot of respect for the White House. I've been there plenty of times. I went there during 3 different presidential, I went there through 3 different presidential terms. I had a chance to meet 3 different presidents, and not all of them are presidents that I always agree with. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, when you get invited to that place and you get invited to be representative of the nation in that way, you really strongly have to consider doing it. Now, I don't think you should be paying your way, right? So I would love to see the White House write Valley a check to get them over the hump so that they can be up there. And if the White House wants them there that badly and the inauguration is embracing them to that degree, it would be great for them to have some kind of pride to put them over the top. We just saw Sonic Boom of the South go to the Rose Bowl parade.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see Valley get a similar opportunity to do something historic like this as well.
I hear that.
Yeah, and I say we can, like, I can see the other side for sure.
I hear it and I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go if I was a student. I wouldn't want my child to go. I think that this is a president who routinely uses black people in a way to make it seem like he's trying to help black people out, right? Like I think this is absolutely a ploy, and I don't believe that this is an altruistic sort of thing that he's doing. What he wants is the photo op with the black people so he can say, look, I'm surrounded by black people. Black people love me. We had this year, not this year, but the past campaign season. AI pictures were popping up with Donald Trump in it, and he was trying to make it seem like he had black people who sympathized, empathized, and rocked with him in that sort of way. And then we come to find out it was AI generated pictures. This is a president who, in his book in 1991, John O'Donnell quoted Donald Trump as saying, "I've got black accountants at Trump Castle and at Trump Plaza. Black guys counting my money. I hate it. The only kinds of people I want counting my money are short guys wearing yarmulkes. Those are the only kinds of people I want counting my money. Nobody else besides that. I've got to tell you something else. I think that the guy's lazy, and it's probably not his fault because laziness is a trait in blacks, and those types of thoughts pervade the Donald Trump experience, right? Like from the Central Park Five to the birther allegations when we think about Barack Obama to Haiti being an S-hole country to the policies that he has implemented. We've got the Charlottesville riot. I guess they call it the right of the right or the right of the right. I forget what the exact name was for that when there were good people on both sides, even though one side was absolutely the aggressor, absolutely the more violent one, and absolutely there for overtly racist reasons with their tiki torches. Donald Trump has shown routinely what side of these issues he's on, and it is against black people. So I wouldn't want somebody that I know and love to go up there and do that now. Listen, Valley's got to do what they've got to do. You've got to make your own decisions. Your black experience is what your black experience is. I'm not going to get on the high horse and judge or lecture or look down upon any of these young people or Mississippi Valley State for going up there. Because, Mike, to your point, how many people get to say they did that? How many people get to say, hey, we went to the place of the highest office and got a chance to perform? Not many. Not many. I understand that component of it. I do. But I wouldn't want to be a part of it. I wouldn't want my name or my face attached to it.
And that's fair, right? Like, so the thing about what makes discourse constructive, what makes it
real quick.
Go ahead.
The Unite the Right rally was the rally I was looking for. The Charlottesville, Virginia.
And I mean, like even with the January 6th stuff that came out, right? So, I said it before. Trump is a very divisive person. He's done a lot of things that have been vile, have been But again, like I said this too, like my ability to be able to distinguish between Donald Trump, the person, and the office of the President of the United States and an inauguration, I can do that. Like I can see, because what this is going to be is something that goes far beyond the man. It's going to be the opportunity that you have that you may only get once in a lifetime. And a lot of these students that are in Mississippi Valley State University's band probably have never traveled to D.C. They've never seen the city. They've never experienced the camaraderie of that trip. There's more involved in that trip than what the ultimate purpose of being there is. I get that, though, because it's attached to it. It is completely attached to it. But what I will say is this, and I don't want this to come across as support or anything like that. But if you dig into any president's past, throughout the history, you're going to find comments like that. Yeah. Biden was just in the office, and he called black people predators in the midst of his rise. Yeah. Super predators, right? He once told Charlemagne the God that if you don't vote for me, you're not black.
I think that was a bad joke, but I get what you're saying.
No, it wasn't a joke because he doubled down on it, right? Okay. Like it was, and so when you do stuff like that, and I can, and I'm gonna hold those people accountable for what they say, but at the end of the day, I don't fault anyone for respecting the office of the presidency, even more so than you respect the person who's holding that office. It's hard to do. It's hard to do. It takes a level of high road that most people don't have access to, right? Psychologically. But I get it. I just look at it from the Valley standpoint. And, I remember being at Grambling one day, and I'll share this story. I know we're wrapping up here, but I remember being at Grambling as a student reporter for the Gramblinite. And this was leading into the 1994, 92, 96 presidential election. It was leading up to the 96 presidential run. And political candidates were coming through, Ruston, Louisiana, and Louisiana making their campaign stops. and Clinton made a campaign stop for re-election and all this kind of stuff. But there was one, and I was always covering it because I eventually got an internship in Washington to cover politics. So I was a political reporter responsible for sharing political views and campaigns with our students at Grambling State University. And I was invited to a Pat Buchanan campaign rally. And Pat Buchanan at that time was an extreme conservative, politician. And I remember a lot of people were wondering, like, are you going to take the invitation to go and sit in that reporter's pool to interview Pat Buchanan? And for every reason that you just mentioned, like, they were like, nah, we can't have, HBCU, we can't have a black person. This guy said this about black people and all of that. And my senior staff advisor was like, you got to decide right now whether you want to be a journalist who's going to try to cover something objectively or whether you're going to be an opinionist who's going to go in there or not go in there based on this opportunity. And I decided to be a journalist. I went and covered it. I sat third row. I was the only black reporter in the whole room. But I represented it, and I came back. I did my piece. I detailed what he said and why he said it. And you could read that piece and determine how you feel about Pat Buchanan based on what I reported. Yeah. And to me, sometimes you got to take those opportunities, man. And I'm glad I was led by a senior leader to go ahead and take it. But again, like I said, everybody's perspective is different and everybody's whys is different. But, I respect Valley if they go. I think if they don't go, it will be because they were pressured not to go because of what other people are saying about Donald Trump. The fact of the matter is, man, Donald Trump's cabinet is going to be diverse. He's already put together a diverse candidate. No, I'm saying cabinet. He's already put together a diverse cabinet. He's already appointed diverse cabinets. Whether he's intentionally doing it to say I did diversity or whether he's intentionally doing it.
What does that diversity look like?
Females, blacks, gays, or alternatives, lifestyles. Like I said, what he does with his cabinet is his choice. But what I'm saying is that it's not going to be an absence of black influence around the president. It's just not.
By June of 2022, which is the end of his presidential term, Donald Trump had appointed 200 judges to lifetime appointments as Article 3 judges. Of the 209 were black, Mike. That's
no. What I'm saying, I'm talking about this.
I hear what you're saying. You're talking about this current cabinet.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm going off of what he's done because we've got what he's done, Mike. He was president for 4 years. We know what he's done, and I think he's going to do much of the same. Let him prove me wrong. Whatever. But I don't believe he's going to prove me wrong, Mike. This is what he is.
But what I'm saying is this is not a defense of Donald Trump. What I'm saying is that this is a revelation of the facts that are before us. So, like I said, so what I'm saying is that what he's done is already put together a cabinet that is more diverse than the one he had before.
What he did was put together a judicial system that was terribly under diverse. And you bring up things, and you brought up some of the things that other presidents have done and said in the past, racist tropes that they have played on in the past. I understand that. I hear you. But President Biden wasn't out there tweeting white genocide. The followers and the influencers of the white genocide movement over 75 times, right? Like there's a difference in Donald Trump and others who have come before him recently, in recent memory.
Now, I'll defend Jordan over LeBron every day. You know what I'm saying? I'll defend Popeye's chicken over churches every day, right? I'm not going to sit here and defend Donald Trump's record because I don't agree with it. So I'm saying that right up front. What I'm saying is that, again, what you choose to tolerate and be less offended by is your choice. What I'm saying is if you call me at any point in your life a super predator based on my race, that I don't care if you stop saying it at a certain point. Do I know that you're stopped feeling it? How much of your actions are determined by what you truly feel versus what you're trying to mask? So what I'm saying is that one dude doesn't give a damn about the mask. The other dude has tried to mask it and has tried to, play around it and all of those kind of things. What I'm saying is that once you reveal who you are, then it's my choice to say, all right, I'm going to rock with you regardless of that, or I'm just not going to rock with you. Again, like how you feel about Trump is cool. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing with what he's done and how he's been. I think he's a cartoon character, right? I don't take anything that he's done seriously because before he became a political figure, he was a boxing promoter. He was all about money. He was no worse, no better than Don King is. He was just another version of that character. But as he's the president of the United States now, I am still going to hold him in that office to a level of standard that once he falls short of it, and he's done it before, then I say, okay, well, all right, the country voted for this man. I still got to be in this country for the next 4 years. I don't have to support everything he does. But as it relates to Mississippi Valley having an opportunity to go and experience a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I support them going. So that's what it all comes back to. Like, we circled through the character of Donald Trump, and that's not what I'm saying. Is that my stance on this particular topic is absence of the character of Donald Trump. It's about the opportunity to go serve your country in a way that you can see the country that you might not ever get the chance to see again.
I understand that you might not ever get a chance to see, because you're right. You know, if you grew up
and you're paying for it. You're paying for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes. this is something, or people are paying for you to,
yes.
You know what I mean?
I understand that, and I think that college is all about the experience, and if you can, whatever you can do to get the college experience to be as good as possible, I'm all the way for it. I completely understand that component of it. I don't think you can separate the man from the office anymore. I think the man is the office now, and I think that he in the policies and the way that he carries himself as the president, I think that it is hard to separate the two. And so for me, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't. I want to say I wouldn't allow a child of mine to go, because at that point, Mike, you got a decision to make. Like your advisor told you, you got a decision to make. You got to sit down.
Because
and
I'm an adult. I'm a young adult.
You're an adult now.
But I'm an adult.
These are grown-up decisions. You got to make those. I would, if my child asked me my insight, I'd tell them, hey, I don't want you to go. I wouldn't go. My child said, cool, Pops, I'm not going. I said, yes, that's my girl. If my girl said, hey, Pops, I'm going to go, I say, but while you up there, check out the National Museum of African American History, right? You can check out the I'm blanking on the name of the museum. Check out the African American Civil War Museum. Go see Frederick Douglass's house, right?
Like in Anacostia, right around the corner from my crib.
To your point, Mike, I would assume, and this might be me just assuming I could be wrong, they're not going to have those young people go up there, perform, get back on the plane and fly back. No, you're in D.C. You're from Mississippi. You've probably never been to D.C., might not ever get the chance to go back. You're going to walk around the National Mall, right? Ride the subway. See what that is like. Like, it is an experience that I think these young people will love and cherish and think about forever. I just wouldn't go if he was the one that we are inaugurating. And I think that Valley could do something. I don't know if they can do it now. They probably can't do it now. But I would hope Valley would say, hey, listen, we do want to give these band members an experience. So, hey, everybody, just raise money so they can go on a cool little grown-up field trip. We'll go up to D.C., hang out, walk them around, and I would appreciate it if more universities
to raise that money to not have them perform, like to give them the trip, but without having them perform.
Give them the trip. Give them the trip. And I am a fan of this at all colleges, HBCU and otherwise. Michigan, for example, they would take their football program, and they still do this all over the country, all over the world. Right? We're doing off-season workouts. Let's go to Rome. It's like, oh, that's great. That's cool, because college is about the experience. Right. Hey, let's go down to Florida for a week to knock out some of these practices, and then you guys can just chill in Florida. You're from Detroit. Your family probably hadn't been south of Ohio, right? Cedar Point. You guys probably hadn't the amusement park y'all went to is Cedar Point, which is a great amusement park, right? Santa Claus, Indiana, Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana, right? Like great amusement park. But let's kick it down in Florida. Let y'all go to Busch Gardens and some stuff like that. Let you see something new, something you hadn't seen otherwise. I'm a big fan of that, and I'm a big proponent in that. I would be A-okay with Valley going up there at some point, maybe not during the inauguration, and just kicking it in D.C. with the mean green machine. But hey, listen, you got a choice to make. It's yours. I wouldn't make it. Mike, you would go?
I would go. I would go. I would go. And therein lies the dilemma, right? Therein lies the perspectives. I think we both articulated them in respectful and well-resourced and experienced ways. And, again, like, I don't hold that against you and your vision, right? Like, I understand why you're taking a point. And you started off your comments by saying, hey, I understand exactly what you're saying and why you're saying it. We just see it differently from that standpoint. And therein lies the predicament that Mississippi Valley State is in, right?
Yeah.
They're torn. And again, number one, if they do go, I pray for safe travel. I pray for a safe experience. And I honestly pray for them not to be used as fodder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at a certain point, you determine what means what to you. And you determine what that experience will mean to you. And if you can answer to that and you can stand on it, then more power to you from that standpoint. But I think I'm coming from more of a hey man, you're going 50 years from now, you get a chance to say that you did this. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to matter who was the president at the time, because history tends to paint people in different ways after you get far enough away from it. But you nothing can take away the opportunity that you had to do something in such an important moment. And it's also, here's the other thing too, CJ, what people aren't realizing, the inauguration is also MLK Day. So you go do the parade and then you head over to the Martin Luther King Memorial right there. Mm-hmm. And then that right there, you use this to go do that. Then you flip that whole trip into something that means something across the board. And it's not just about the one man that is such a divisive figure in this country right now.
We'll leave it at that, Mike. We've got to end the show. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week to talk about God knows what stuff will be popping off, though. It always is. Yeah. Even in the football all season, basketball is in full swing. Yep. You got players in the transfer portal signing, both leaving HBCUs, going to FBS programs, leaving FBS programs, mm-hmm. going to HBCUs. I'm sure we'll talk about some of that as well.
Pre-draft prep is right around the corner.
Prep right around the corner. And guess what, Mike? They still hadn't announced the Black College Football Player of the Year. We won't know that until February.
They on CP time on that one.
Oh my gosh, that is worse than week 0 for me, Mike. That is worse than week 0. We're going to announce this 3 months after the season. Get out of here. Stop it. Ben's Chili Bowl. I forgot about Ben's Chili Bowl.
Yes.
Absolutely swing by there as well, Valley. That'll do it for us on HBCU Huddle. For Mike, I'm CJ. We'll talk to you guys again next week right here in the Built Ford Tough studio on Grind City Media.